All right, now let's switch a little bit and talk about the conversation of the day, and that is all about planning for retirement. And like I said earlier on, this is one topic that most people would rather not have because, well, you know what, we're just trying to live, one day at a time. But like we said earlier on, it is very, very important for all of us to just start thinking about planning for their retirement. That is if you have not, all right? But if you have, then it's a good thing. And I'd also love to hear from you as well. What prompted you to actually plan for your retirement? But also, we're asking you, do you have a plan for your retirement? All right, do you have a plan for your retirement? That is the question that we're asking you today. So like I said, feel free to interact with us on our socials. That is at NTV Kenya, at Lubembe_. When you remember to use the hashtag YourWorld and tell us if you have planned for retirement or not and the reasons behind it. But of course, to give us more insights on the same, I am joined by Michael Wanyeki, who is a business development manager, retirement benefits at Prudential. Michael, it's so good to see you this morning. How are you doing?
I'm fine.
You had to wake up, yeah, those hours.
Yeah,
but it's all good. We're happy to have you really with us today to get to understand about retirement, because like I said, this is one of the things that we'd rather not talk about, or even if we're talking about it, it's like, okay, So let's just start with the first things first. When we talk about retirement, what exactly does that mean? Because I've had a lot of people say, me, I want to retire by 40. And someone else says, maybe at 60, the retirement age in the country is around, 60, 65? So it's like, but I still have time. So when we say retirement, what exactly does that mean?
Thank you, Winnie. Yes, you're right. Everyone has a perception about retirement. Everyone has a desire of when they would want to get into retirement. And the truth of the matter is that everyone retires from something.
Sure.
Everyone works for either you're working for someone because you're employed, or you're working for self because you have a business establishment. So without a doubt, everyone retires from something.
Okay.
And everyone has desires of how they want to retire and when they want to retire. The perception about retirement for someone like me who is employed would be totally different from the perception about retirement for someone like perhaps an athlete.
True.
Because in their context, retirement would be the seizure or the stoppage of what they engage in as far as the economic activity is concerned. For instance, you'll find them talking about my retirement would be when I get to age 38, for example. Usain Bolt retired at I don't know what age, but suddenly it wasn't in what we all know as the retirement, age definition of retirement. Yeah. So when we think about retirement, we are thinking about how one transitions from the engagement of an economic activity that generates income for them into a space or an environment that they are no longer engaging in such economic activities for whatever engagement that they would be engaging in. Okay?
It's interesting that you say everybody retires from something. And I think that is the first step to think about retirement. Because I think when we talk about retirement, most of the time we usually think it's for civil servants, where it will get to a point where they will have to retire and all those things. Now the question is then, when do you start planning for retirement? Because a lot of people, and you see the first thing I posted the question that is, do you have a plan for retirement? The first thing that someone said to me is, it's too early. It is way too early. So the question is when?
Yeah, it certainly happens. And most of the times, especially for guys who are freshly getting into employment or just started doing something to generate income, retirement seems a discussion and a topic that they want to think about way later into their years of employment. There is a school of thought that believes that when we should start saving for retirement should be as soon as you get your first income. If it's employment, as soon as you get your first salary. There are those who think, and if it's in business, as soon as you get your first paycheck. If it's, there's the alternative school of thought that thinks that you should start saving for retirement as soon as you get to learn about retirement savings and what retirement savings is about.
Okay.
But ultimately, I think, and we share this in this thought in a number of schools of thought, that you should start saving for retirement as soon as you are in a position to be able to take advantage of the power of compounding. Because retirement is really, it's a phase. It's about getting there more than being there. And
wow.
as you get there, you want to think about how much resources do you have. And part of the very important resource is time. So it is beneficial for you who learns about it at a very early stage and does something about it and takes action towards it.
The earlier the
So
better.
yes, so it is best for you to start saving and planning and even doing something about retirement saving as soon as you can take advantage of the power of compounding, because retirement benefits pretty much operate on a compounding interest basis, a compounding income basis.
Yeah.
Okay? So for that, that would mean if you are in, for example, you just started your job, you're a young adult, you've just started receiving your first salary.
Yeah, the
then
excitement that comes with the saving.
yes, and that's hence the reason why you find that a number of young people, they don't want to think about retirement because they feel that it's just about to deny me an extra income that I would be spending in other things.
Yeah. Okay, so the earlier the better. I like that. Yeah, don't think about it at the was it? No, the earlier you do it, the better.
Yeah.
And then the question is then why? Why should you plan for retirement? Why should you actually save for retirement?
Sure. Usually I say that a retirement plan or a retirement savings product should be set up or it should be bought by the young because it will certainly be used by the old.
Ah, wow.
So when I'm young, I am in a position to be able to get in a retirement savings arrangement, but I can only be able to use that when I get in an advanced age. In advanced age. So why it is important to establish a retirement savings plan is because there are quite a number of things and uncertainties that we face as we go through life, part of which includes the uncertainty of resources in the later years of our life. Life is pretty much clustered in three major phases. The first phase is the infancy stage, where you're pretty much growing all the way to the age of about 15 years. It is the knowledge acquisition phase. So that is a phase in which you are totally dependent.
Okay.
Then we have the second phase, which is the active phase. From now in Kenya, we are recognizing age 18
yes.
to about 64 years. That is deemed to be the active phase of life. And then you have the final phase, which is the retirement phase.
Okay.
It is what you do during your active phase of life that will determine how comfortable your life becomes in your later ages, after the age of 65 years pretty much, and thereafter. So it is important for you to start thinking well in advance about how your life will look like in years after you cease active engagement in income-generating economic activities.
Okay.
As I said, remember, it is all dependent on how much resources you have and key among them being time.
Absolutely.
So why it is important to think about that, the uncertainties I'm alluding to, key among them is the risk or the possibility that you will live longer than anticipated after the age of 65.
Okay.
The general life expectancy now is in the region of about 6 years, if I'm not wrong, in Kenya.
Yeah.
And the life expectancy at age 65, that is when you're at 65, how long you're expected to live, will be well within the region of about 30 years. Okay. Of course, because of the advancement of medicine and technology.
That's true.
So because you have a whole 30 years that you will be living without an income,
Yes.
then there is all the reason why you need to think about that phase and how, where will your sources of income come from during that phase of life.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's interesting when I hear you say that, because most of the time we're just living in the now, you know, and especially young people who, for example, the person who said, it's too early for me to start thinking about retirement. You know, the aspect of instant gratification, that is what we live by now. We just want to have a good time, don't think about the future, and then, you know, when it comes to when in your retirement and you do not have any resources, then it becomes sad, you know?
Yeah.
And of course, there's a lot of statistics surrounding, you know, poverty, especially in old age, and you know, people actually live shorter you know, as compared to someone who is, you know, well prepared, has their retirement in check. What do those numbers look like?
The statistics as it is, and out of what publication by the regulators look like, is that a bigger number of people who get into retirement and are well prepared and have been putting aside something are able to live longer and have a comfortable life in that period compared to those who do not really have a retirement package as you get into retirement. So about 20% of the population in Kenya are well prepared for retirement. And that only talks to pretty much those who are within employment. And we just, I think we have about 20% of the general population that are in employment, of which about 14%, about just 3 million, are in formal employment. So this 20% hails so much from those in the formal employment sector. So you can imagine how much we should be losing, or we are losing out as far as pension coverage is concerned from the informal. So what we have seen is that you stand a better chance of survival and having a fulfilling retirement, and one that is stretched out or fully lived during retirement, if you had a retirement kitty or package as you get into retirement, than if you don't. Because what you have seen, and coming from the old days when I think retirement planning was based on our children, so we will get as many children to take care of us in retirement.
Then when in old age, it's like they take care of you.
Yes.
So that is like, I am investing in you, so they take care of me.
Precisely.
Okay, okay.
Yeah, so the current day type of retirement planning takes the form of financial preparedness, in that you get to set aside a portion of what you generate as income within your years of service. So yes, there is a prevalence of people getting to retirement with some sort of savings, but majority of those are coming from those that are in the formal establishment.
All right. So and when we say planning, of course, the first thing that comes to mind is finances, which again is very important, very, very important for, like you keep insisting, put something aside, because you never know, it will help you much, much later, you know, much, much later in life. But the question is then, does it only involve finances? Or what exactly do we mean when we say, you know, retirement planning?
Yes, thanks for that question, Winnie. Most often when people think about the topic of retirement planning, what comes into mind first is money and income.
They ask how much.
and the topic about retirement planning is one of the complex one, as it has been evidenced, is one of the complex things that, or rather plannings that you would need to make, because there is a lot of components and variables that you need to think about. But they all they all clustered in major topical items of discussion that linger around finances, your health, physical wellness, social wellness, mental, and even socialization. Okay. So when we are thinking about planning for retirement, it has a lot of involvement, yes, about your finances, because it will be the main driver of how comfortable you will be in retirement. But there is also an aspect of how well will you arrive into retirement to be able to enjoy it in the first place, to be able to utilize and use the resources you will have accumulated by then. So we're talking about laying out a plan that looks at your current resources, financial resources and time, but the anticipated resources in retirement. Your current expenditure versus the anticipated expenditure in retirement. Your current social network versus the environment when you get to retirement. So there's a lot, is a broad spectrum of thought when you're thinking about retirement. It's not just finances, though finances form the major component
it's
of
the
it.
bigger component of
But
it.
there is a lot to do with physical wellness, your mental wellness, to the point of even thinking of where will I live?
True.
Okay, what kind of house
Do
will
you
I
want
live
to?
in?
Yeah.
Okay? Yeah, the other day I was talking about housing, and it came out that most of the times during our years of service, we build a house with the mind of our current situation,
Okay.
our current
Yes.
families,
Yeah.
and not knowing that that goes away very soon,
Grows,
because
yeah.
children
Children
grow a
and
lot,
they leave.
you know, and they leave until you get to retirement and you realize
Yeah.
now you don't need all these houses that you have. You don't need the upstairs because you're no longer able to go up and down.
True.
Sometimes you find that where the bedroom was upstairs, people come downstairs,
True.
and the
You
upstairs
have
is
to
left
move,
to
yes.
to be a ghost space.
Yeah.
So there is a lot of thinking and preparing and thinking through precisely and exactly what will work for me, and what am I anticipating? What kind of lifestyle am I anticipating as I get to retirement?
I like that. I like me when I think about my retirement, maybe I just want to be traveling the globe, you know, because and like what you said earlier on, is that if you do not do something, especially in your active phase, then there might be a problem, you know, when it comes to your retirement, because really in your infancy is all about dependency. So you don't really have much, you know, that you can do. So we need to take a break right now, but of course when we come back, I'd want us to do like some bit of math in terms of, let's say someone is watching us and probably they're 20, they just started earning and they're thinking, so what does retirement look like for me in, for example, 40 years to come? And also there's also the aspect of economy. Right now, of course, you know, the cost of living has shot up. So the question is then, how much do we save? Do we even have something to save in the first place? A lot of questions that we'll have for you, Michael. So you want to stay with us. But of course, when we come back, I'd also want to hear what you have to say as far as the question, and that is, do you have a retirement plan? You do not want to miss second part of this conversation. Stay with us. This is Your World.
As Dr. Funike and Mama Kayai host unscripted true life relationship experiences on reality TV show Kupatana. Nia, Monday to Friday at 8 p.m. and Kupatana every Tuesday and Wednesday at 8:30 p.m. Terms and conditions apply.
Guys, lipstick is for Mommy, not the wall. I said pick one each. One. Children, they are cute no matter what they do, but there's nothing cute about fever. Panadol Baby and Infant starts to work on fever in just 15 minutes. Trust Panadol Baby and Infant to work on fever fast, to bring back their cute smiles.
Malaria husambazwa na mbu. Walio hatarini ni watoto wa chini ya miaka 5 na akina mama wajawazito. Kupimwa na kutibiwa ni bure katika hospitali zote za umma. Usisahau adui malaria. Zero malaria huanza na mimi. Chukua jukumu leo. Komesha malaria. Ujumbe huu umeletwa kwenu na Wizara ya Afya.
Right, welcome back. Glad to stay with us. The show is Your World, and it's all about planning for retirement. An insightful and very needed conversation that we need to have this morning, you know, as far as, you know, planning for retirement and why it's very important for all of us to just start thinking. That is, if you have not planning for your retirement. But before that, well, the Kenyan government has been asked to build and increase the number of modern hospital theatres in various health facilities to ensure every Kenyan can access surgical services. Speaking in Nairobi, the chairman of Africa Health Business, that is Amit Thacker, has said many Kenyans are suffering due to the high cost of health services, which hinder some from seeking treatment. He has urged the government to equip health facilities with modern equipment and maintain hygiene in health facilities to prevent more infections. Take a look.
Today is not only from Kenya to India and South Africa, but it's coming from all the East African countries and going out to these other countries. And so what we want to provide the market with is the fact that there is no need to, you know, incur all these costs and inconvenience to go and seek these services. We are going to provide it at a very affordable price.
You see, the theatre is an engine of the hospital. It's very important to have a very clean theatre, germ-free theatre, and having a theatre that surgeons can perform quality surgeries. It's very important. This day marks a very important global standard theatre.
All right, and of course, let's come back to the conversation that is for, on planning for retirement, and to help us understand the importance of the same and why you need to, if you have not started saving for retirement, why you needed to do it now, is Michael Wanyeki, who's a business development manager, retirement benefits at Prudential. And Michael, of course, before we went on a break, there's this question of I'm 20. Okay, and I've just earned my first salary, and the excitement that comes with the same, or even if not a salary per se, for example, open up a business, right? And they're starting to see that, to reap the fruits of the business. So the question is, what does 30 or 40 or even 50 years look like for this person?
Thanks, Winnie.
Yeah.
You have reminded me of my sister.
Yeah.
When she first got her job, the excitement of a new job, having waited for so long to get there, was really not giving space for discussion of reducing the income or shelving a portion of that for whatever reason.
Yeah.
It took me to take her through why it was important, and to an extent, it came with a little bit of threats that if you're not doing this, then you're on your own. Okay?
Yeah.
So it takes one, first of all, to get someone to be able to give a projection. Give a projection of how the future looks like. Okay. And I'll take you through what we do at Prudential.
All right.
When you are in the formative stages of income earning activities, you have no idea of what to put in for whatever target you have.
Yeah.
And this is also part of what retirement planning is about. You need someone to take you through what, first, it starts with, first of all, establishing what do you want, what is the goal, what is your focus. Now, out of the goal, and we can guide you on what will be an objective goal for a retirement package. Out of the goal, then we are able to work back and see precisely how much then would you need to put aside on a regular basis to achieve that goal.
All right.
Okay, and we will do a projection with various assumptions of a minimum return on your investment, an assumption of a regular contribution rate. And out of various interactions, what we have established is that for someone who is as young as 20 or 24 and starts saving at that age, who has about 40 years of saving to get to age 60, it would require them to put as small as 1,000 bob per month. And it doesn't matter whether it's in someone who is employed or in self-employed. Okay? This serves for all classes of participants. They would need to put as little as 1,000 bob for a period of about 40 years to arrive to about 10 million bob.
Oh, wow.
As a retirement package, of course, with various assumptions of interest return. Now, what that talks about is the advantage of time. Remember I said, and if you remember the calculus equation, we had boundaries. And when you think about the wealth equation, which is a function of savings, but this savings has to have in it return on investment, but bounded by within boundaries of time. The longer the time spectrum you have, the advantageous it is for you.
Yes.
And that's why it is very important for the young person today to just think about this savings business as early as now, because it will be a lot cheaper for them. They will need to put as little as, say, 500 bob, 1,000 bob per month to realize an outcome that would have required someone who is already late into savings. For example, someone who starts at the age of 40 and only has 20 years, they would perhaps require to do a bit, about maybe 10 to 15,000 bob per month to get to arrive at the same 10 million bob. But you who is 20 years just needs about 5 to 1,000 bob to arrive at the same outcome. Purely because of the time factor and the power of compounding. So that is the starting point, that I'm a young person. I just received my first paycheck. It is my ripe time to take advantage of the power of compounding. It is the best time. It will be cheaper for me to save starting now.
Let's start with, like, for example, like 100 shillings. And we were talking about this during the break, where sometimes you just look at 100 shillings and think, just like this one, you know? Let's say I want to save 100 shillings every single day. Paint that picture for me in the next 30 years. What will that look like?
Assuming you will be saving a full 30-day period of a month, 100 bob. That comes to about 3,000 bob per month. 3,000 bob per month. For a year, it comes to about 36,000. In about 10 years, that's about 360. In 20 years, that's about 720,000. In 40 years, that's about 1.4, 1.5 million. Pure savings without any interest loaded. When you bring about interests and compounding of it into the picture, then you will see how then that balloons and grows exponentially. Let me pause at that and perhaps give a brain teaser. There is this brain teaser that we like using, where you have on one hand someone offers you 1 million bob versus someone who gives you 10 cents that doubles in value every day, and which one looks lucrative?
It's very easy for someone to go for the million, right?
Most likely, yes. Most likely they'll go for 1 million bob. And again, it comes back to what we said of the tendency for us as human beings to value the immediate gains, the present value of things, and overlooking the potential exponential value and gains of small, consistent, and delayed savings. You will realize that for this person who would take about 10 cents that doubles every day, in the first 10 days, it doesn't look so much. It comes to about 50 bob, 50 shillings. In about 20 days, it comes to about 50,000. In about 25 days, it's around about 1.5.
Wow.
Is it? Yeah, about thereabout. But on the 30th day, that double exponentially grows to about 56 million, 53, 56 million. What I'm trying to put through is that when you're putting very small amounts, at the beginning, it doesn't look like it will amount to a much. It doesn't look like it will ever get to anything. But it is on the very last quarter of your saving that then the real effect of compounding of income takes place. I like the quote by Albert Einstein that talks about compound interest being the eighth wonder of the world, that who understands it earns it, and who doesn't pays it. How you pay it is because there is an opportunity cost that you're losing. You're losing on that income that you would have gained. It is actually a wonder because, and it only comes to those who wait long enough, those who are consistent and patient enough to be able to realize the outcome. So anyone can actually do that math, and you'll see that 10 cents that doubles. You can imagine how little 10 cents would be.
Right.
That if it doubles every day, you'll actually have more than 1 million bob within 30 days. And had you chosen the 1 million bob, they would have you have lost on this opportunity. You get?
Absolutely.
So that is how it looks for someone who wants to save 100 bob, and they are really looking down on the value of 100 bob to grow to any big value. But until now, we do this kind of projection. We put them in a discussion table and show them that out of this small contribution, consistently done and put in a good rewarding investment vehicle, then you can actually be able to realize a very rewarding package at retirement.
And retirement, I like that. So don't just look at your 100 shillings or even 50 and just say, it's just at this one. You know, you never know. You never know. All right. But then again, so the question of savings culture in the country, it's very, very poor. You know, people, like we said earlier on, so the uptake of retirement, benefits in the country and savings, it's very, very poor. And the question is why?
Yes, you're right about that, Winnie. And to an extent, we may attribute the lack of a savings culture that has come from perhaps where we're coming from, either as a society, as a community. We have not been accustomed to delaying gratification and setting aside something for the intention and for the whole purpose of future gain. We may have also suffered from the economic times that we're going through, that the disposable income in very many people today doesn't allow them to have so much towards savings. Little is going to savings, if at all any is, and even that is going to savings may be towards very conventional savings arrangements, savings through perhaps merry-go-rounds and circles. It is very unlikely that people have the thought of saving in retirement benefit schemes. And perhaps I would also want to attribute that to the lack of proper knowledge and proper education to the people, knowing that retirement savings and getting ready for retirement is a very vital component of their, of their life towards that eventuality. We may need to do a little bit more of education of how retirement benefits schemes work, of the benefits of being in such an arrangement, and also the risks of not having savings to start with. I think also the general structure of the retirement industry may have also in part contributed towards why people haven't been actively, participating so much in retirement savings. The regulation today leaves it at the prerogative of the employer, for example, to set up retirement benefit schemes. Okay? If an employer doesn't feel compelled enough to set up a scheme, they will not do it. So it is upon you as an individual to look for ways to save up for retirement. Okay? For those that think about setting up retirement benefit scheme for their employees, they also may, due to the regulatory framework that we have, they may be also at liberty to determine when then you join into the scheme.
Yes.
Sometimes you find that there is delayed. And I like Prudential as an employer, because part of the things that they ensure that happens is the day you land on your contract, then is the first time that you start contributing to a pension scheme. So you don't have this lost savings opportunity. Okay.
True.
So it also goes towards the regulatory framework that you have, and more so that it doesn't seem to be proactive about sensitizing people into retirement savings arrangements. We may also have suffered from the lack of understanding of the product itself.
Okay.
And that's why I say there could be a little bit more of knowledge and sensitization about the product that needs to be done to the people. Because today, if you ask someone about what are your investment options or what are your, what are the options you have, most likely they will tell you, I can save in a SACCO, can save in a bank, and perhaps now I can save in unit trusts. But retirement savings,
is
as
not one of the things that
it's not one of the things that comes to the discussion.
Yeah. And of course, I'm happy that we're here today, number one, to just help people understand that, hey, it is okay, it is very important for you to at least have something on the side. For example, what? School fees, you want to buy a car, you want to buy this, but also, how about think about getting into a retirement scheme. So then what more needs to be done? Yes, pass the awareness, pass the information is very important, but what more needs to be done just to make sure that, people, like anytime you ask someone, so what are your goals? What are your future goals? The first thing that comes to mind is my retirement plan.
Good.
Yeah.
Thanks, Winnie. I keep telling people that saving for retirement or a retirement package doesn't compete with your other investment alternatives.
Okay.
You should have a portfolio. You should have a portfolio of investments, and every investment initiative that you have or arrangement that you have has its own purpose. It is as important to have a SACCO, to have SACCO savings as it is to save in, say, for example, money market. Yeah. It is also as important to have a retirement benefits plan. Why? Is because all these have different functions that they play in your life. Okay. You need SACCO, for instance, maybe to get quick access and affordable credit. Sure. You need, say, a money market account to be able to have an emergency fund. Okay. You need retirement savings plan to be able to take care of your retirement income needs. All right. So people need to start understanding that I am not asking you to save in a retirement savings plan so that you can forego SACCO or so that you can forego buying a plot somewhere. I am asking you to incorporate getting ready and preparedness towards retirement as much as you're taking care of your other investment and cash flow needs. Yeah. So that's where that's kind of discussion we should be having.
Absolutely. Because I think there's a lot of conversation around, instead of just putting some money at Nieke Tubuko, because I don't know, again, I don't know whether I'll be alive in the next 20, 30, 40 years. Tomorrow is not guaranteed. There's usually a debate around why not invest that into, for example, what, property or land, so that when I retire, at least I'll have something. But I like what you're saying, that, listen, saving for retirement doesn't really have to come and then mess everything else. If you want to start saving for what, land, put some money in your SACCO, put some money, whatever else that you want to, please do. But then again, also have something on, on retirement, which I think is very important. So let's say someone is watching us now and thinking, man, I really wish I could. But now, the high cost of living, everything has just been messed up, and I do not know even if I have anything, to save up for, what would you tell this person who's like, you know what, maybe when the economy stabilizes is when I will think about saving for retirement? What would you tell this person?
Yes, Winnie. There is a phenomenon called, or as in behavioral finance and economics, called hyperbolic discounting bias, where doing something later always seems better than doing it now.
Yes.
Okay?
Yes.
If today I asked you, if you have 1,000 bob, would you rather save it in a pension scheme, for example, or a retirement benefits savings arrangement, or would you go and have pizza? And if I asked you that in a year's time to come, if I gave you 1,000 bob in a year's time, would you consider saving it in a pension plan, or would you consider eating it as pizza? Chances are that you will tell me that you will actually save it. Okay? You're certain that you want to save it. But if today I asked you, I'm giving you 1,000 bob, will you save it in a pension scheme, or will you go out and have pizza? You will say that I'll save next year when I have a salary increase and not now. It's called hyperbolic discounting bias. And until the later keeps shifting and never comes, and it's too late, and you land at retirement, always procrastinating about it. Okay? Retirement, and I'm trying to get back to your question. Doing something today has a lot more benefits than shelving it for later. Okay? Yes, that's the kind of thing that we're trying to sensitize on.
And like we said, it doesn't really have to be much. It could be 50, it could be 100 shillings, So don't think about it until when the economy stabilizes is when it's when I'll think about it. Okay. All right. So let's take a look at some of the feedback, in terms of what you had to say on the question of the day, and that is, do you have a retirement plan? That is what we asked you. Do you have a retirement plan? Wow. Okay. So this is Timothy Smith, who says, yes, I have. Retirement plan isn't just saving up for it. And of course, after that, plan for an activity that keeps you busy in that time. And of course, I'm also preparing for what? I cannot say it. I'm also preparing by taking care of my health. I don't want to be a frequent hospital visitor because of lifestyle related health problems. All right, that's very smart. Okay. Then someone else says, this is Ben says, with every job, you cannot plan anything, and you just plan to accept, any eventuality. You cannot control your life anymore. Okay, I hear you. But of course, we're trying to say, you know what? Life happens, and it happens to all of us. So, try as much as much as you can do. And of course, so then someone might be like, so then what are some of these, options in the market, that can enable someone to save for retirement? What are some of the options that we have?
Yeah, thanks, Winnie. There is quite a number of options out there. As I said, employers are now setting up retirement benefit schemes for the benefit of their employees. But insurance companies are also setting up individual pension arrangements, which then takes care of those that are both the employed as well as those that are not in formal employment. Okay? The self-employed guys and the Juakali sector people. So if you're not in an employer-based retirement arrangement, there is still hope for you to be able to subscribe to an individual retirement savings arrangement out of what insurance companies are providing in the market. But even when you have an employer-based retirement savings arrangement, you still have the ability to go ahead and set up an individual retirement benefits arrangement. And why that is important is because in as much as you have an employer-based savings arrangement, retirement is personal. You need to take charge of your own retirement outcome. Most of the time, organization-based schemes have defined rates of contributions, and they are set up within a given line of investment income. when you set up an individual retirement pension arrangement or retirement benefit scheme, then you have the ability to run this scheme as an individual within an individual capacity.
Okay.
For instance, we have an IPP, we have an individual pension plan at Prudential. And part of the things that we see people do is, having come from an organization-based scheme, people then migrate their funds into these individual arrangements. And why they do so is because at an individual capacity, you have the control of where you place your funds and how much income it generates for you.
Okay.
So yes, there are all these
the
options that the market can give.
Yeah, I like that. And of course, just take that individual responsibility, because at the end of the day, it is your future. Correct. I like that. All right. Michael Wanyeki, Business Development Manager, Retirement Benefits at Prudential. Michael, thank you very much for coming by today. And of course, helped us really open our eyes. I want to believe so. If you're watching us, I now know that you know better, really, as far as planning for retirement is concerned. So take that initiative and make sure that you plan yourself as far as retirement is concerned. So my name is Winnie Lubambe. Thank you very much for your time today. And of course, we'll have to say goodbye right now. I can see Zainab Ismail is already in studio. Of course, she's coming to give us more updates as far as, the body of the former statesman, that is the late President Mwai Kibaki, is actually lying in state. And today is the last day for viewing. So if you're planning to do so, then make sure you make your way to Parliament between now and what time? By around 5? Yes, by 5 p.m. Okay, so of course, together with the battery of journalists who are located in different parts of the country, they're giving you more updates. So of course, Zainab is coming up in just a moment. Enjoy the rest of your viewing and have yourselves a lovely day ahead. Goodbye.